What's up guys, this is Miyasin. So today I wanted to make a quick little video on the Kashtira engine, but most specifically on Kashtira Unicorn, because even though I think the whole Kashtira engine overall is extremely good, Unicorn in particular is actually cracked this format. And obviously there's a lot of reasons for it, not only because of the fact that it searches a spell, which I actually think is more relevant than searching a monster with Fenrir, because Fenrir, yeah sure, it's like that generic staple when you search another copy of itself, but Unicorn being able to search either Birth or even Theosis is actually much better than you think, and of course I will be going into details in this video right here. Anyways, before we go any further, you already know the drill. Smash the like and the subscribe button. It really motivates me a lot to keep making videos like these. You have no idea. And of course, with that being said, let's get right into it. Alright, so first things first, what does Kashtira Unicorn even do? Well, at this point, you should already know. I'm not going to read the effect for you, but let's just say it is a combination of like a Stratos for a spell card and kind of like a baby Ghost Reaper. So you almost want to get a hand shot when you control Kashtira Unicorn. And actually, I'm going to be honest, it's a much better card going first than second. Fenrir is the better one going second. Unicorn going first, it is extremely good. Because again, in a hand shop dominated field, because if your opponent hand shops you and you control this, and your opponent plays a bunch of one-ofs in the extra deck, specifically cards like Fiendsmith Requiem, the Fiendsmith DS Irae, Dual Drive, and potentially Detonator, even though usually Detonator is going to be like a 2 or 3 of, probably just a 2 of. Dual Drive, I started seeing deck lists with only one, and I swear to god, Kashtira Unicorn ripping away that one card makes it so that the deck doesn't really beat Nibiru anymore. And this is what happens when extra deck space is getting tighter and tighter, and when you're trying to play as many engines in your deck, it becomes extremely difficult to like accommodate for everything and also play around this card. So usually people end up picking their poison, and they kind of accept defeat to Kashtira Unicorn. So if you actually can play this card, you can really prey on all those guys. And also, unlike Ghost Reaper, you actually banish face down the card that you're banishing. So even if your opponent plays like Nemesis cards, it's not going to work because obviously the Nemesis monsters, they can only shuffle back banished monsters into the deck. So obviously if you can banish something face down, it's not a monster card, it's just a Yu-Gi-Oh card. So unless your opponent has something like Cypher Lord Omega, you can say bye-bye to that card. However, also unlike a Ghost Reaper, this card only banishes one monster that you choose, whereas Ghost Reaper, it banishes every single monster with that same name. Which does matter because against the Fiendsmith Kashtira Magical Musketeer deck, if you can actually Ghost Reaper the Requiem, you're making them lose 2 copies of the card because they do play 2. And it really does matter because the Magical Musketeer monsters, they really just do nothing on their own. The goal is to go normal summon like a musket and then go into max and then Requiem. But you can actually trap them when they summon the max when they go first. And then you Reaper them there, and usually, again, the game will be over. They can't really do much of anything after that. Obviously, yeah, sure, they can have that extender, they can have that hard-drawn engraver, and still go into DS Irae, which is why sometimes the correct play is actually to Ghost Reaper the DS Irae. And also, that makes it so that if they have the trap card, the Fiendsmith in Paradise, now that card is actually a brick. It really does nothing at all, because, again, you make them lose the only fusion that they can even go into. And also, sometimes the goal is to Reaper them when they summon the sequence, but with Kashtira Unicorn, it's not going to be possible. You can only really make them lose one single card. So against that deck, it is a little less good, but then again, you can use Kashtira Unicorn on your turn, and then again on your opponent's turn, so it's still kind of decent. But again, I really recommend hitting as many one-ofs as possible with Unicorn. You usually let the 2-ofs alone, just so that you can cover all their options, but I guess their main line of play will still be a possibility for them. Now, this card, even if you just play it generically in your Fiendsmith deck, it is extremely good because you can draw like Unicorn and any hand shop. Like, you can even normal summon like a Molchemy going first. You make Moon of the Close Sky, and then you Fiendsmith combo, and then you also search your Kashtira Birth, so that even if you get Nibiru, you can still go activate Kashtira Birth, revive back the Kashtira Unicorn, and then you're kind of still good because you have like 3 interruptions through a Nibiru with only 2 cards, because you are able to go like Requiem into Lacrima and then send the Engraver. You revive back the Engraver, and then you're pressuring the Nibiru by summoning the Necroclip and the Engraver. Your opponent has to nib, otherwise you might make a Caesar. And if your opponent does not nib, then obviously you make Caesar. You still have Lacrima and Engraver and Requiem, sorry, in the graveyard. So you can go into the good old play where you send the trap card, and then you can send the DS Irae on the opponent's turn, and that's extremely frustrating. And also, this card can be played in some other decks just to like increase the consistency and make it so that you have more starters, because if you don't really want to search Kashtira Birth, you can still search Kashtira Theosis. So for example, in the Raziel deck, you can go Unicorn, search Theosis, special summon Fenrir, and then search the Rise Art, special summon the Rise Art, make the Raid Raptor Arsenal Falcon, and then special summon Mulchimiforos because it is a winged beast monster, so you don't have to play like any extra bricks in your deck. And then you can make the duo drive and then search your deck for the field spell as well as the sword Raziel, and then special summon the sword, surge the ice, special summon the node, and then you can even go into like a Dugaris, revive back Fenrir, and then you can go node effects, send like the Arsenal Falcon, revive back another Raziel monster, and then you can go into the detonator, get back a material. So that's a detonator for 3 materials, the field spell, as well as a Fenrir on the field with 1 single copy of Unicorn. That's really not too bad. And in the Malice deck, you can use 2 Kashtira monsters in order to make the Draco sack and then go into Cherubini. Cherubini is going to be sending the Dormouse, and then you can make a Haggard Lizardos, banish the Dormouse, and then full combo from there. I don't really have to explain, you know, how this is any like different from the typical Malice combo. It's pretty much the exact same. So yeah, all this is just to say that Kashtira Unicorn is extremely good if you go first because it really punishes your opponent for hand trapping you. It is extremely good at just generating you even more plays because again, it can be used as a link material, and then the Kashtira Birth is just going to revive itself, revive it back. And also Kashtira Birth is still a way to threaten your opponent on the opponent's turn because when your opponent activates something like Fiendsmith Engraver to surge the Tract and then activate the Tract to surge the Luri and then discard the Luri and try to revive it back. On the resolution, the Kashtira Birth can trigger because your opponent activated a spell card. Obviously, you control the Kashtira Unicorn at this point, so that you can revive, you can banish the Engraver, the Tract, and the Luri. So your opponent loses 3 cards off of a Kashtira Birth that's just sitting around doing pretty much nothing. Like, the real goal of Kashtira Birth is to revive back your Kashtiras every single turn, so you never run out of gas. But the fact that you can also make your opponent lose cards while he's playing is actually kind of filthy. Not to mention that you can search Kashtira Unicorn, of course, with a field spell, and the field spell boosts the attack and defense of all of your monsters for, you know, each different attribute on the field. And this might not look super relevant, but just like Duo Drive, this can be a way to help you dodge, you know, Metal Tronius on your Raziel Detonator. So unless your opponent summons his own Detonator, it's not going to be super relevant. But if your opponent is trying to summon another monster like Underworld Goddess, it's not going to work because now your Detonator has what, like 31, 32, 3300 attack on the field. So he can't summon Underworld Goddess, so he has to summon another Detonator and potentially banish, which is, you know, not the greatest. And again, as I have mentioned in my Metal Tronius video, if you can Ash the Metal Tronius, your opponent can't really respond with Call by the Grave or Crossout, because then you can chain your Detonator to self-destruct, and then the Twins of the Eclipse will trigger and then revive back your Detonator. So that's also a reason why post Supreme Darkness, Metal Tronius is going to be a little less good, but at the current moment, I still think it's something that you have to be afraid of if you're playing Raziel, of course. But yeah, Kashtira Unicorn is a card that adds extra layers of push to your deck. It adds extra consistency, I guess you can say, especially if you play the Fiendsmith engine. It adds extra interruptions, and there's a lot more decks that can abuse the Kashtira engine. So I really can't wait to like make more combo videos and deck profile featuring this engine because it really has like a lot of untapped potential. Like the simple fact that this card can be a 1-card starter for so many decks is already like unbelievably good. Anyways, that's all I had for this video right here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys very, very soon with another video. Peace.